Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today, in this video, our group are going to explain about museum in topic 3, technical and information services in information agencies. Let's start with technical services. There we explain about accession, documentation, finding aids, preservation and care, and conservation.
Hi and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Rabiatul Adawiyah binti Sanusi. My ID number is 2022486516. So first of all, accessions. Accession is accepting an object into the museum, and the museum will collecting the object to the category of material that the museum holds in. Accessions objects that are held in the museum. First, the object that supports the museum mission statement. Second, objects that retain physical integrity, object identity, and object authenticity. Second, object that can be properly stored, preserved, and used. Museum may acquire objects for their collection through several ways such as donation, purchase, contracts, gift, transfer, exchange, collecting, and bequest.
Next, let's continue with documentation. Before that, I will introduce myself. My name is Nurul Syafiqah binti Mahayuddin, and my matrix number is 2022863286. Now, let's go to documentation. After I make some research, now I understand about what is documentation in technology services in museum. So, first of all, we need to know the definition of documentation. Documentation in museum is concerned with the development and use information about the objects within a museum collections and the procedures which support the management of the collection. It is the statements of museum documentation from ICOM's international committees. So, what documentation do? Documentation are create and looks after the information about the museum objects. After that, documentation will make sure that museum can account properly for the objects. After that, it also makes sure that museum can say what it owns and where it is. Moreover, documentation will ensure that the collection are safe without being properly considered and authorized. Last but not least, after accepting the artifact into the collection, begin an acquisition file. An ideal file should include a copy of temporary receipt. Temporary receipt is form provided to a potential donor when an item that they wish bring into the museum. For example, name and contact information. Next is a deed of gift. Deed gift is a legal document transfer of donated item to museum. Example, full list of items that have been donated. After that, photograph of artifact. It is a key aspect of collection. The important museum function is condition reports, research requests, artifact identification, and digital content for exhibitions. Moreover, an ideal file also includes biography or history of the donor, history of object worksheet, and also condition report of conservation records.
Hi and Assalamualaikum everybody. My name is Putri Nuiman Semaka binti Umazi. My matric number is 2022299968. According to technical services in museum, finding aids are inventories or identities that describe the contents and context of an archival collections and are the primary method of accessing information about any group of records. Museum created finding aids in order for the staff and the researching public to find the object. Museum collections are normally catalogued in a collection catalogue. Traditionally, we are using card index, but nowadays we are using computerized database, which is web of aids contain all of these informations. Firstly, they have a session number in the trinomial system. Many museums use the trinomial system to create catalog numbers for their collections. Next, they have nomenclature, also known as a object name and classification. Nomenclature is a structure and control list of objects terms organized in a classification system to provide a basic for indexing and cataloging collections of human-made objects. Next, we also have date of acquisitions taken from the temporary receipt. They also have date of transfer, which is legal title. The object's complete three-dimensional measurement. The aids also contain descriptions of the object, written with enough detail that the artifact can be visualized. Finding aid also have markings, which is the mark of the object. They also have donor provenance. Provenance is the ownership's history of an artwork from it was first created to its arrival at the museum. Donor provenance is basically the story behind the object. Lastly, finding aids has a locations where the object is stored or on display.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nurul Izzati binti Mak Nazir and my matrix number is 2022-839016. I'm going to explain preservation and care in museum. Let's start with definition. What is preservation and care? Preservation is the process of keeping something valued alive, intact, and free from damage or decay. Care is the process of protecting something and providing what that things need. So, how to preserve the arts in museum? First, brightness, lighting, temperature, and humidity must be controlled because all work of art in museum are quite sensitive. Next, museum must have cleaning scheduled routine, including sweeping, vacuuming, check and empty trash can, and sanitize common touch point. Other than that, use stable material when boxing artifacts. The material should not block heating or cooling vents. For example, acid-free boxes. Keep away a sharp material or things can be disaster in museum.
Next, I'm going to explain about conservation. Before I explain my part, I will introduce myself first. Hi, and Assalamualaikum. My name is Nova Malia binti Syahrul, and my ID student is 2022696652. I am from KIM1441B. Now, I will explain about conservation. Conservation is the process of stabilizing an object in its current condition without interrupting the integrity of its history through specialized cleaning and correction techniques. Basically, this is conservators' job to do. What is conservators? Conservators are professionals with advanced training in art history, science, studio art, conservation techniques, and related fields. Also, conservation related to a museum prime responsibility that must be maintain its collection and to do everything possible to delay natural laws of deterioration. Conservation also involves the treatment and where feasible and acceptable, the restoration of objects as nearly as possible to their former condition. Lastly, most larger museums have their own laboratories where preservation and restoration work is carried out and some take on projects for other museums as well. Next, I'm going to explain about four of museum conserved artifacts. First, an aged object may become brittle and easily break or crack. Poor storage may result in deterioration or mold growth, or Time may result in grime and dirt build-up. Secondly, an assessment is conducted to determine the object condition and determine what materials were used to create the piece. Thirdly, depending on the needs of the artifacts, culturally appropriate and historically accurate materials may need to be special order to complete the treatment properly. Lastly, conservators are able to take the necessary step to clean, repair, and prepare an object for future maintenance.
Next, these are the storage for museum objects.
Now, let's get into information service in museum. In museum, we will explain about exhibition, research, and educational program. So, let's get into exhibition first. In exhibition, there is no standard design or layout for exhibits, gallery space in museum. Exhibit designs plans will always vary from topic to topic and space to space. Also, exhibition is classified into permanent exhibition, temporary exhibition, special exhibition, and mobile exhibition. It's like outreach in history, culture, heritage, and the natural history. I could say that museum service division is a key driving force in shaping or implementing an exhibition.
Next, I'm going to explain about exhibition rules in the museum. First, the design should enhance the artifact without disrupting the visitor and overwhelming the artifact. Secondly, remember safety issue for patrons and security issues for artifacts. This label should be easy to read and brief. Next, keep the topic in mind when considering design elements. Lastly, make the space user-friendly for all patrons, including those with physical limitations, children, the elderly, and large groups.
Next, research. The definition of research is exploring the designated fields of study with the aim of advancing knowledge. The activities of research is to discovering, creations and advancements of a new knowledge into about the museum's collections. Why research is important? Museum needs to be at forefront of supporting the importance of research by making it visible and demonstrating its impact to founders, managers, sponsors, and most importantly, the public. Conducting research. First, collections can also contribute invaluable information for research. Collecting collections-based research can expand the limits of knowledge, identify, re-evaluate, and revise existing knowledge, identify and investigate topics for its high visitation, and provide depth and breadth of information about collections.
Next, let's talk about educational program. First thing first, what is educational program? Educational program is set of learning to enable students to develop understanding, skills, knowledge, and also attitudes that are relevant for student needs. Educational program also is a course study that conduct an educational institutions or otherwise that design for specified learning needs. Next, there is two purposes of educational program. What is it? First, students will understand historical value, respect diverse cultures, and also understanding multiculturalism. The second purpose is it will help students' ability to engage actively in process to gain knowledge and express their thoughts and emotions. Okay, now I will share with you example of educational program. First, alley art project. Students will create individual pieces as elements of larger mural design to paint in Corning community. After that, artist residence, the Great Circle program. Its surrounding district related to adequate funding for arts by provide visiting artists to classroom for extended period of time. The third example is identity and artists. Students will create art or write projects for explore to affording opportunities to gain self-awareness and issues concern identity. Lastly, Rockwell Teen Council. Students will get chance to plan a teen night event, interpret plan, and connect with another person in inspiring environment and stay positive.
As in conclusion, we know that museum is the place where we can learn from past events. We can staring and wondering about the pictures or the gallery's history. And those treasuries are very priceless. Museums are strongly viewed as being one of a wide range of information sources and as an important satellite for learning. Technical services in museum provide a unique, engaging experience for visitors, engaging them in ways that standard exhibits cannot do. Physical experience can make museum exhibits more memorable, and the best use of technology is not to make visitors aware of the technology, but to make them aware of the exhibit itself. Thank you and Assalamualaikum.